The studio was buzzing with energy. Bright lights illuminated the set, casting long shadows across the polished stage floor. Camera operators adjusted their equipment meticulously, ensuring every angle was flawless. The crew whispered final instructions to each other, their movements efficient and purposeful. The audience, a diverse mix of political enthusiasts, journalists, and curious citizens, sat in hushed anticipation. Tonight promised an extraordinary exchange between two formidable figures, Pam Bondi and Hillary Clinton. It had been months since Bondi's controversial statement about the signal leak incident, where she had downplayed the severity of the mistake by comparing it to past controversies involving Hillary Clinton's emails. The political landscape had been buzzing ever since. Critics argued that Bondi's comments not only downplayed a potential national security risk, but also sought to deflect blame by drawing parallels with Clinton's widely scrutinized email scandal. Clinton, on the other hand, had remained relatively quiet on the matter, until now. Tonight, the nation was tuned in to witness this rare face-to-face confrontation. News outlets had been running previews all day, speculating about the potential fireworks between these two political heavyweights. Social media was flooded with hashtags. #Bondi vs. Clinton, #political clash, and #prime talk showdown. Commentators across the political spectrum had been weighing in, with some defending Bondi's right to criticize perceived double standards, while others pointed out the danger of trivializing national security lapses. Jeremy Marks, the host of the evening, was known for his calm and analytical approach. A seasoned journalist with years of experience handling heated debates. Dressed in a charcoal gray suit, he stood at the center of the stage, his composed demeanor contrasting with the electric atmosphere around him. He adjusted his earpiece, nodded at the producer, and glanced at the teleprompter. The countdown began, and Jeremy took a deep breath, knowing this was one of the most anticipated political face-offs of the year. As the final seconds ticked down, the studio fell into complete silence. The familiar opening music of the show echoed through the room, followed by a montage of both Bondi and Clinton's past media appearances. The screen faded to reveal Jeremy, who flashed a confident smile as he began his introduction. "Good evening, America," Jeremy started with his trademark calm confidence. "Welcome to Prime Talk, where we tackle the issues that matter. Tonight, we have an unprecedented conversation that you surely don't want to miss. Please welcome former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi." The audience erupted in applause as Clinton appeared first, calm and poised, wearing a navy blue pantsuit that radiated a sense of authority. She greeted the audience with a polite wave, her expression composed yet subtly resolute. A few moments later, Bondi followed, equally confident, dressed in a sharp black blazer. She acknowledged the audience with a quick nod before taking her seat. The stage was set, and the tension was palpable. The two women exchanged brief, cordial nods, but it was clear that beneath the professionalism, both were bracing for a contentious discussion. Jeremy, sensing the anticipation in the air, smiled warmly. "Thank you both for being here tonight. I know the public has been eagerly waiting for this discussion." Clinton gave a courteous nod. "Thank you for having us, Jeremy." Bondi, with a confident but cautious smile, added, "Looking forward to it." Jeremy leaned slightly forward, his voice steady. "Pam, let's start with you. Recently, you made headlines by drawing a comparison between your signal incident and Secretary Clinton's email controversy. Some critics say your statement downplayed the seriousness of the signal leak. Could you clarify your stance?" Bondi leaned forward slightly, choosing her words carefully. "Of course. My point was to highlight a broader issue of how similar situations are treated differently depending on the political figure involved. When Secretary Clinton's emails were under scrutiny, it was portrayed as a major security lapse. But when other incidents like mine happen, they're framed differently. It's about fairness." Clinton raised an eyebrow, maintaining her composed posture, allowing Bondi to finish. Jeremy turned to Clinton. "Your thoughts, Madam Secretary?" Clinton took a measured breath, speaking with her characteristic poise. "I understand the desire for fairness, but comparing private email use during a State Department tenure with an active administration's mishandling of military plans is a stretch. One involved classified information handling protocols, the other a potential breach in national security with real-time implications. Context matters. and it's important not to blur the lines between significantly different circumstances. Bondi's posture stiffened slightly, but she kept her tone measured. Jeremy sensed the building tension and prepared to steer the conversation. He knew that the real clash was just beginning, and both women were holding back their sharper arguments for the moments to come. As the camera zoomed in, capturing both women in a split-screen view, social media lit up with live commentary. Viewers were already debating who was making stronger points. The hashtags continued to trend as the nation remained glued to the broadcast. Jeremy glanced at his notes, preparing to delve deeper into the controversy. He knew that as the conversation unfolded, tempers would flare, and the real confrontation was just around the corner. As the show went to a brief commercial break, Bondi took a sip of water while Clinton adjusted her papers on the desk. Neither looked at the other, both seeming deep in thought, preparing for the next round of questions. Jeremy signaled the crew that they would be back live in 20 seconds. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, and the studio audience remained unusually silent, bracing for the continuation of this verbal duel. The break ended, and Jeremy's voice filled the studio once again. Welcome back to Prime Talk. We're here with Hillary Clinton and Pam Bondi, discussing the recent controversies surrounding the signal leak and comparisons to the Clinton email case. Let's continue. The audience leaned forward, sensing that the cordial veneer was about to shatter. Jeremy's next question was sure to ignite the kind of heated exchange that had been promised. And as both women steadied themselves, the nation collectively held its breath, waiting to see who would come out on top. As the cameras panned back to the stage, Jeremy Marks adjusted his posture, signaling the transition from the opening statements to the real debate. The tension in the studio was palpable, and the audience sat at the edge of their seats, anticipating the heated exchange that was about to unfold. Jeremy broke the silence, his voice calm but firm. Pam, Secretary Clinton just pointed out that comparing the signal incident to her email controversy is problematic due to the nature and context of both situations. How do you respond to that? Pam Bondi leaned forward, her expression resolute. Jeremy, the issue isn't just about the nature of the incidents. It's about the public's perception of accountability. When Secretary Clinton's emails were under scrutiny, the media was quick to defend her intentions, suggesting that it was merely a mistake. But when conservatives make errors, the narrative instantly shifts to negligence or even malice. My point is about fairness in how these situations are portrayed and addressed. Clinton couldn't hold back any longer. Pam, you're deliberately ignoring the fundamental difference. I acknowledged my mistakes and cooperated with a rigorous investigation. The signal leak, however, involves sharing active military intelligence. Lives could have been at stake. Your insistence on equating the two undermines the gravity of what actually happened. Bondi's jaw tightened. And yet, Hillary, your actions were scrutinized for years. And despite the findings, many Americans still believe you were given leniency because of your political influence. This isn't about minimizing risks. It's about the consistent application of justice. Jeremy sensed the conversation escalating and interjected. Pam, are you suggesting that political favoritism played a role in the public's reaction to these incidents? Bondi didn't hesitate. Absolutely. When the same standards are not applied equally, it fuels public distrust. People see political figures on the left getting away with things that conservatives are harshly criticized for. That's not justice. Clinton, visibly irritated, shot back. Justice, Pam, means facing accountability without playing the victim card. I went through exhaustive scrutiny. I didn't deflect responsibility by pointing at others. You're using my past as a shield to protect your administration's clear failure. Bondi leaned closer to the microphone. And you're conveniently ignoring the fact that public perception matters. People feel that there's a two-tier justice system in this country, one for those connected to the establishment and one for everyone else. The audience was buzzing, murmurs growing louder as Clinton visibly composed herself. The problem with your argument, Pam, is that it ignores the facts. I never downplayed my mistake. You, however, made a statement that equated sharing active military details to email handling errors. That's not just misleading, it's dangerous. Bondi didn't back down. It's dangerous when people in power are protected from repercussions because of their political alignment. If accountability is truly universal, then it should not matter whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. Jeremy took a deep breath, realizing that the debate had shifted into a philosophical battle over fairness and perception. So, is the core issue here the perception of unequal treatment based on political affiliation? Bondi nodded. Precisely. When political bias influences public perception, it damages trust in institutions. If we can't hold everyone to the same standards, then we're undermining democracy itself. Clinton shook her head, her voice unwavering. And what you're doing, Pam, is manipulating that sentiment to dodge the real issue. The signal leak posed a direct threat. There's a difference between mistakes that warrant criticism and ones that put lives at risk, equating them as irresponsible. Jeremy sensed the need to balance the discussion. Hillary, are you saying that Pam's comparison is purely a tactic to distract from the actual issue? Clinton nodded firmly. Exactly. It's about distraction and deflection. Instead of taking full accountability, she's framing it as a partisan attack, when in reality the danger is real and immediate. Bondi countered, and you're refusing to acknowledge that your political connections allowed you to navigate your own controversy with far less backlash. That's the issue here, selective outrage. The audience's reactions varied from applause to murmurs, reflecting the division in public sentiment. Social media updates flashed on the screen behind them, showing a live poll where viewers were split almost evenly in support of each argument. Jeremy glanced at the screen, realizing that this debate was resonating far beyond the studio. Ladies, it's clear that this conversation has struck a chord with viewers across the country. Do you think this debate itself highlights the problem you both are discussing? The divide in how we perceive accountability? Clinton took a moment before responding. Debates like this are crucial because they expose the deeper issues. It's not just about individual mistakes, but about how we approach justice. We can't afford to dilute responsibility through false comparisons. Bondi responded confidently. And we can't afford to ignore the public's sense of betrayal when they see inconsistency in how justice is applied. It's time we stop protecting powerful figures just because they align with certain political ideals. The debate continued, each woman unyielding, their voices layered with passion and conviction. As the program edged closer to its conclusion, it was clear that neither would back down. The audience knew they were witnessing more than just a political argument. They were witnessing a fundamental clash of perspectives on justice and integrity in American politics. As the credits began to roll, Jeremy closed the program with a measured tone. Tonight's debate has shown the complexity of public perception and accountability. Thank you, Secretary Clinton and Attorney General Bondi, for your candid perspectives. We hope tonight's discussion encourages viewers to think critically about the issues raised. The screen faded to black, but the conversation continued in living rooms and online forums across the country. The battle of words might have ended on stage, but the debate was far from over.